brain.
Yep. And we're going to talk about mental acuity because they keep using that word. You hear it a lot in the conversations of the debates. And so they're talking about the sharpness of your brain. And that includes your memory, your attention, and uh, problem solving skills. Now, with having mental acuity, who did you think that was the sharpest for us? Their mental acuity, but they kind of knocked them out the way, pushed them out the way.
That would have been President Biden. It was very sharp. He just aged naturally
Okay, and so the
when it came to mental acuity.
so what about the memory, about Biden's memory versus the predecessor
I mean, the predecessor's memory has been slipping downward. It's getting worse and worse.
and his attention span?
He don't have no attention span. He don't pay attention to details. He don't even read.
And for his problem solving skills, what?
He has no problem solving skills. As a matter of fact, the predecessor is creating problems. He's expert at creating problems and then lying about it. Like, for example, with Hurricane Helene, when they were talking in the Republican Party as well, when they're talking about with Hurricane Eileen, when they're talking about a conspiracy theory to say, well, FEMA could take your property. FEMA cannot take your property. That's number one. Number two, FEMA did not give hurricane relief to illegal immigrants.
And
Oh,
have you noticed that every time a question is asked, um, a problem solving, question is asked, does he answer that question?
he does not answer the question at all.
And I know Lawrence O'Donnell kind of pointed that out also, that you're never going to get an answer from him.
You're never going to get an answer from the predecessor, from the ex-president and the predecessor. You're not going to get an answer at all because he's not going to answer it. He can't do details. He cannot stay on task.
Well, um, and so what we do when we want to measure mental acuity, we use different cognitive tests to assess the time that you can finish the task in and the task itself, and we evaluate the memory and the reasoning ability. Now, what kind of for us to test? Have you provided any type of neurological testing to?
He is not. He has not. He has not provided any type of testing. He is refusing to release medical records.
So it kind of makes you feel like he has something to hide.
Yeah, he has something to hide. And as a president of the United States, you cannot have that type of ability, especially as president of the United States, to have those type of health problems.
So now we come to um, things that influence mental acuity, and those things are age, the lifestyle and choices, your diet and exercise, the sleep quality, stress levels, and if you're engaging in um, mentally stimulated activities. So now, who's the oldest?
The oldest will be the oldest is the predecessor at 78 years old.
The oldest would be the predecessor.
Yeah.
On the live stream, I'll call you back. Okay, on the live stream, call you back. Okay, bye bye. So we got the lifestyle choices, diet and exercise. So well, we know he golf. He likes to golf.
I mean, he likes to golf, but all he does is, the predecessor's diet, you notice he eats a lot of Big Macs. Okay, he don't have no fruits or vegetables. He just has Big Macs, which is very dangerous for the long term for your health.
And the stress level. It's been mostly the people's stress level that has been
Up and up and up.
all the news commentators for years
I have been really stressed.
have been looking at the things that he's done. And a lot of people are stressed because they feel like he's not being held accountable. And so that kind of raises the stress level.
That raises the stress level way up.
All right.
Because a lot of things that the predecessor has done, you can never get away with. Like, for instance, 34 felony counts, and that's just the state of New York. Then you got federal counts as well,
Right. Well,
like insurrection. No average person can get away with what the predecessor has done, or the Republican Party, or enablers. Nobody.
Also, with the mental acuity, you have the physical, how exercise impact your mental activity. So we don't see them doing a whole lot of exercise, but when you do exercise, it improves your blood flow to the brain. It promotes what they call neurogenesis, or create more new neurons, and it reduces the stress, and it give you you get better cognitive function. So, looking at the predecessor right now, how do you see his brain function?
I mean, his brain function is really declined. When he was in Arizona and he just said Adriana, that's the predecessor when he said Adriana in his speech. It's Arizona. That is mental decline right there. That is a sign of dementia. That's where it's going, which is dementia and Alzheimer's is type 3, type 4 diabetes.
Um, and now they're beginning to notice it more and call it out. Not saying it's too late, but they waited a kind of a long time because they basically jumped on Biden's mental acuity, and he didn't have. It was, I didn't really feel that it was a comparison, and so you have the mental acuity of the predecessor, and every state that he goes to, what does he do?
He talks bad about the city. Like he's even said that if I'm not elected, then America will look like Detroit. Okay.
Well, he won't win no. Well, he'll probably get votes there, but uh, a lot of people are really kind of upset. Now, what's really strange is coming in Congress. Congress has promoted
The Republicans
the Republicans have
and the
promoted,
Congress and the United States Senate
and that's kind of
and some conservative Democrats enablers like Joe Manchin and Christian Silliman of Arizona.
they had plenty of time to choose someone else for a candidate. And now things are kind of spiraling out of control, and everybody's beginning to watch this particular behavior. So um, now you could say, well, maybe what he's eating, or maybe what him not sleeping,
I mean,
or
yeah, I mean, he doesn't. What he does, he stays all night on True Social telling lies, like telling lies that is causing a lot of lives. Just look what happened when he was lying about the governors are not getting the funding they need for FEMA when hurricane disaster relief, when they released the disaster relief already, and none of it is going to illegal immigrants. And I hate the term illegal immigrants because that is just dehumanizing language to begin with.
is there any way that his mental acuity can be improved?
As older as it is, he is beyond mental health.
And so they're considering his mental health as being what
It's
labeled.
being dangerous to everybody else, to the world. So he's beyond mental health. He's just straight out dangerous. If we did a mental evaluations and kept out most of these dictators, 90% of those problems would have been disappeared, gone. If we kept those dictators out of office with mental problems, malignant narcissists.
So to help understand when they're talking about mental acuity, do you think that a person should be in office that lacks the ability to problem solve?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because absolutely not.
So we're gonna have problems with the memory. We got problems with attention span. We have um, problems with problem solving skills.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have an executive that lacks executive functions. And how can you move forward in a nation when you got a whole nation to solve problems, and now you got other people around? But how is that possible that this person can be considered as the president of the United States? How is that possible?
I can tell you how it's possible. Enablers. That's who. And not having a strong enough will in their own party to say no.
And so when we go back to the enablers, they're the people that make the predecessor.
Yeah, they're the ones that make the predecessor.
So basically, without having anybody to,
Without the average supply, he would be nothing.
oh,
He would
okay.
just be the average. He would just be just some malignant narcissist on the street. He would have had nothing.
And Conway, he's doing an exceptional job of putting out information on the uh, predecessor. So, what do you think about the ads that they're running, that they're pushing?
The ads that they're running are telling the truth. That means pay attention because we only have at least 21 days to get this right. 21 days. That's all we got. 21 days for the count. Because if we choose wrongly, we will be set back not only pre Civil Rights Act, Human Rights Act 1964, we will be set back at least 300 years.
And do you see that taking effect now with Roe v. Wade? And
Roe v. Wade was just the warning track. And the weakening of the civil rights protection was just the beginning.
there will be more.
There will be more. Like what they will deny women what they call the Comscot Act, which that will ban medications that will help for safer medical care for women under the Comscot Act. There's another act that what they would do with illegal immigrants called the 1798 Alien Act of 1798. And here's what that did. It would allow for concentration camps. And oh, it gets better. Media, this is for you. If you criticize or even point out the facts and say you humiliate them, they can take away the media's license, and the journalists that covered them could be going to jail just for telling the truth or speaking out.
And do you think that's the fire that General Mark
And
Milley?
that's the fire that General Mark Milley is in. We will all be like a Mark Milley or a Liz Cheney if that would happen. And the billionaires that oppose Donald Trump that spoke out will be going to prison if the 1798 Act would pass.
And even though they call Elon Musk Mr. Brilliant, how do you view his mental acuity? How do you look at? Do you think?
He's one of those enablers with the mind that knows better. Why would you even deal with a guy like that anyway? Except that I just want to manipulate easily. That's what it is. He just wants power. Elon Musk wants power. That's all he wants, and deregulation.
So Mark Cuban did an exceptional job of calling Elon Musk out.
Yes, he did. Because the predecessor did not pay his vendors and pay his people. And one of the worst things you could do as a business person is to not pay your people. That just means that you're not even trustworthy.
So, so coming into term, do you think that a lot of the Congress senators, do you think that there should be done psychological assessments
It
to
should
them?
be a situation not just for the presidency, for the House, for the Senate, for state legislators, for council, for every office that you go into. For every single office, not just the presidency, but for every single office that you run for and making your laws. Because we have to live with their laws every single day.
So, do you think you have everything covered on mental acuity? Is there something else that you would like to add?
What I would like to add on this is that if we choose wrong, we're going to lose our rights for the next, not only the next 50, for the next 300 years. And here's what will happen. It will mean we will not be having, there will be no opportunity. Okay? And black folks will be returned not as inhuman into property. Immigrants will be in concentration camps. Muslims will be the new Jews. And it's already happening in Europe right now. What's happening with the Muslims is what the Jews had 100 years ago.
Okay. So, on that note,
On that note,
would you like to close it out, or is there anything else you'd like to add?
on that note, vote like your life depends on, because our lives do depend on making the right decision and having our ability right there. The predecessor is an expert at causing other people's mental illness.
Because
That's what he
he
does.
does
He
him.
gets off on hurting people. Look at to that one guy. Look to the one contractor when he owed Trump 4.5 million. When Trump owed that contractor 4.5 million dollars. Okay, look what happened to that one guy. He only paid him, stiffed him in that contract, pushed contractors out of business, and one contractor committed suicide because he couldn't pay his people because of what he did. And that was a friend too. If you could do that to your workers in the business and private life, you don't get to do that as president of the United States.
So 21 days and counting?
So we have 21 days and counting. We could either move forward or we could move back at least 300 years. Do you want to go back 300 years? Think about this.
And do you want to have somebody in office that do not have the mental
Do,
acuity?
and do you want someone in office that do not have the mental capacity or mental capacity or mental acuity? Because we're going to be living with those laws for the next 50 or 100 years.
There you go.
So on that note, we are out of here, and you'll be seeing me tomorrow on the next live stream.
20 what?
21 days and counting.
Down to 20 days and counting.
Down to 20 days and counting.
There you go.